guesting on Chelsea. She's a comedian, she's an author, she's host of an international talk show. I'm so glad she's out there because I love to listen to her. Chelsea Handler is on the
Hi, Michael. Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Hi.
Well, listen, I'm so glad you're out there talking. You've become such a valuable voice.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes, it's so true. I mean, you were off the air for a while, and now it's good that you're back during the election.
Just in time.
Just in time. I know you've been having a lot of fun with it, and, you know, one thing we did on this show for a while was trying to show red flags about Donald Trump, and I love one of yours I did not think of, which is that he doesn't drink. And you say this is a red flag.
Are we all drinkers collectively?
Oh,
Do you drink?
absolutely.
You drink? Okay, good. That's 1 point for you. Yeah, I find that's just, like, very suspect. I don't like when people don't like to broaden their horizons. I mean, you don't have to abuse alcohol in the way that I do, but I would appreciate people experimenting with drugs, hallucinogens, alcohol, loosen up a bit. Otherwise, there's a control factor that I don't trust, and that's what creates a despot or somebody like a Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's untrustworthy.
No, I couldn't agree more. I never trust people who can't get high.
I respect people who are sober because they had a problem and they got sober.
Yes,
but if
exactly.
you've never tried it, yeah, you're fucking tricky.
That's true. I agree with that. If you're a drunk, you get a pass. But you did that drug ayahuasca, which I'm dying to do. I mean, I watched that with great interest because I've done mushrooms, not recently, but I mean I'm
actually on mushrooms right now. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
And it did sort of open up your eyes to your big takeaway, I think, was that you found something with your sister you hadn't before.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Drugs can do that.
I think drugs are great with, like, broadening your mind. I mean, it's not great to abuse anything, obviously, but it's great to think in different ways and to get outside of yourself and look at your life like you're not you, like you're not coming from this place of self-interest and self kind of obsession, and just relax a little bit. So for me, it was a very positive experience, and I know for many other people, ayahuasca has helped them. You know, ayahuasca helps people quit drinking. I mean, it didn't help me do that, but I still had a great experience.
I'd like to drink on ayahuasca.
I did. It was fine. It didn't affect you at all.
You know the group The Doors?
Yes, I've heard of them.
You know how they... Well, you're younger. You weren't around when they were around. I was.
Yeah, but I know The Doors.
Lots of people don't. Does anyone here not know The Doors?
Exactly.
Okay. Anyway, believe me, some people don't know that. But anyway, they got their name from a book about drugs by Aldous Huxley, I think, some Huxley, called The Doors of Perception. That's what he termed drugs. They were doors to perception.
Well, he had a lot of perception.
Right, okay. And, well, let's not go into the fact that Jim Morrison died on drugs. But that takes away, that takes away from my point. But, okay, so let's talk about the Trump kids. It was in the news today that none of them have made donations to the Trump campaign. Which I find amazing, because you'd think of all the people they would, but then again, their father hasn't really either. And people, you know, I like the way you don't take the media bullshit about Ivanka, you know, being perfect, because I think I hear it even on the liberal stations. Well, he's got great kids, he can't be all bad.
That doesn't, first of all, those kids are wired into him for some I mean, listen, if I was a woman, after everything that's happened, and I don't hate Republicans, but he is such a terrible, you know, he's such a terrible figure in this time and now. You know, I could actually imagine one day voting for a Republican. That's how open-minded I consider myself. But this is such a, I know, I mean, I would never do it, but I just like to say, maybe. But
have you ever had sex with a Republican?
I don't know. I don't get their names. But what I'm interested in is, like, will you check this box? I think I saw her at the Fortune's Women's Conference last week. I was speaking at this Fortune's Women's Conference where I was interviewing Anita Hill, and I walked backstage, and the woman who runs the conference says, "Oh, this is Ivanka Trump," and I had to go shake, and I go, "I just can't. I can't with you." Like, she if she were to come forward, and I know this is a fantasy, but if she were to come forward now after everything her father has said and done about women, that's been recorded, that's been proven time and time again, which he consistently denies, if she were to do that, she would be an American hero.
Yes.
Like, people would
That's
go,
true.
holy
Yeah.
shit.
She'd be my hero.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm sorry, I know it's my dad. My dad is he's sexually inappropriate and disgusting, and you better bet your ass if that he tried to run for office, I would fucking stop him.
Right. We're on the after show. Van, how do you maintain friendships with ardent Trump supporters like Jeffrey Lord and Kayleigh McEnany?
Hard drugs. No,
I was going to say.
I don't do drugs, so you guys had a long
Really?
I actually never.
Oh.
Why, you've never had a drink either?
No, I felt so bad.
You should feel bad.
Anyway, so...
you don't know what you're missing. It's never too late.
I
could get you fucked up.
Frankly, hanging around Jeffrey Lord has got me pretty fucked up. So
you'll think you're Van Johnson when you leave here.
Can I just vouch, though? I mean, I just see Van. We do CNN together occasionally. He's always just a nice guy to people, offset, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate that, and I'll tell you why. Everybody's focused on...
But
listen, no, this is pure self-interest. Everybody's focused on Tuesday, the day of the election. I'm focused on Wednesday, the day after the election, when the Trump voters are not leaving America, the Clinton voters are not leaving America, Black Lives Matter is not leaving, and the cops aren't leaving.
Right.
We're all going to be here together. We need to start working it out.
That's true.
Right,
Amen.
Chelsea, how would you compare sexism in Hollywood to sexism in politics?
I guess, sexism is pretty, rampant everywhere. I think watching Hillary and having her do this, like, to think about what somebody goes through for any campaign, and then to think that she's done this so many times, like, and the idea that that's labeled, like, to all the young girls that are growing up in this country, she's vilified so much because she's got ambition. Mm-hmm. Like, why are we saying that that's bad, that she has an agenda? Her agenda is public service. She's not evil. Yeah, she's not perfect. They do some, like, sketchy things. I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay with a little bit of that. I don't think I think that the sexism plays such a major role in this election.
The weird thing to me is that you have the most qualified woman.
Person.
No. I want to keep it gendered. The most qualified woman in the history of the world versus the least qualified human being to do anything at all.
When he said earlier on your show, about if this were a black man, it's like if Hillary had filed bankruptcy 4 times with 4 huge casinos, if she had been caught on tape saying these things, if she'd done half of this shit, she wouldn't be a nominee. He's a nominee.
The whole deal about Hillary being the most qualified person, I'm like, what has she done? Syria, there's 500,000 people that have been murdered in Syria. There's a war in Sudan. I'm saying the war is on fire. There's not been a single alliance built the Secretary of State.
We're not on the network anymore. We're just on
she was a
the
top
after show.
foreign policy official.
But Secretary of State cannot control the world. You cannot really think.
Wait. She traveled to 100 countries in 4 years, working out, negotiating.
But how many alliances did she build?
Hold on a
Zero.
Zero.
That's not true.
That's not true.
There's not a single new alliance. Where's the new NATO? Where's the Asian alliance?
I'll give you NATO. We have NATO. It was built in 1949.
Exactly.
The other asshole wants to get rid of it.
Well, I'm just saying, I just call out the whole Hillary thing.
I think you're attracted to her. That's what I think.
Can I show you something? That's not the case.
Say whatever you want.
You did once walk toward her.
Did make a move on her. All right. Did make a move on her.
Can we just, honestly, I'll give you 2. One, Hamas, Israel. They could have been in a massive, you would have had dead children across the Middle East. She got in there and stopped it in 12 hours. That is very, very difficult.
And by the way, also Libya. was about stopping dead children.
And
that was we got in there for a humanitarian reason.
And the other
people forget that.
And the other thing is, let's not forget.
But she gets credit for that. She gets credit for that, but doesn't take any blame for Syria.
Reasons? Well, how can she take blame for Syria?
I don't know.
Why are you blaming her?
What could a person do?
She's a top foreign policy official in the administration.
But you're saying she could get on the phone to the nefarious people we can't even identify who are fighting the government and tell these people who we don't even know who they are, don't do it.
No, I'm saying that
it's just insane.
They could have had a safe passage for refugees. They could have grounded the Air Force. She was a fan of the Russian reset, don't forget.
First of all, your calendar is so screwed up. She wasn't even in position by that point. But I'll give you one more.
Well, Trump always says that too. He says in the debates, he's like, she's been there for 30 years. Yes, as First Lady, she should have personally rewritten the tax code.
So, right. Listen, I'm not going to let you get away with this. I'm not going to let you listen, seriously. Right. Iran, she has no alliances. She went and got Russia. She went and got China and most of the world to squeeze Iran in a way that got us out of a fast track under George W. Bush for them to have nuclear weapons. That is very tough to do. What have you done, by the way, to come remotely close to anything like that?
Listen, first of all, I'll say, number one, I was the author of the public housing reform, the biggest housing reform in 60 years.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Number one.
True.
Number
that's
two,
true.
I was the author of a bill that allowed disabled people to go back to work and keep their health care
the ones
benefits.
Donald Trump's
making
fun of?
signed into law.
Yeah, but Rick.
So I'm happy. But I'm just saying.
But what did you do about the cattle futures, Rick?
Okay.
What about the cattle futures?
I was asleep at the switch with that.
You fucked up on that one, man.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody. You're a great crowd. We'll see you. Okay, here we are on Overtime. Max, with the government issuing guidelines for driverless cars, should we embracing this new technology or be wary of it? Why do you know about this?
Well, basically because there's a national security aspect to that. If it can be automatic, it can be hacked.
Oh, right.
So I don't know about you, but I dread the idea that one day somebody hacks all of our driverless cars at once and kills more Americans in one day than 9/11, which is something we need to be wary of.
Oh, my God.
Just when I thought there was...
Sleep tight, everybody.
There's something worse than a Trump presidency. You just identified
there it is. If it's automatic, it can be hacked.
Left to worry about. Yeah, that is very... No.
I love how Max can just turn anything into like a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. Death and destruction.
It's called neurosis.
Lonnie, whether or not Trump wins, is the Republican Party forever changed?
I don't know that it is. I've always thought of this as kind of a temporary correction, to be honest with you. I think after this election is over, though, the Republican Party does have some soul-searching to do. But to say it's permanently changed, implies that I think this guy actually will have some permanent influence on how we think about the world. And from a perspective of someone who hopes that isn't true, I hope it isn't true. But, it'll be an interesting discussion after.
But isn't the problem their voters? I mean, they didn't want Trump, a lot of them, and we see a lot of these Vichy Republicans who go along because they don't want to upset the apple cart.
They know better.
They know better. They know where their bread is buttered and where their voters are. But, I mean, you can get rid of a Trump. You can't get rid of the voters. That's who they want.
Well, but that means that the Republican Party should be doing what it's always done, which is expanding its appeal to more people, and to have a message that expands its appeal.
But that's not what the base wants. The base is deplorable.
I think.
Like your brother.
The base is definitely feeding on. So you just said this
Some
earlier.
percentage of the base is. That's fair. But we have to be clear to not to overgeneralize. I think. I think that there is some percentage of the base that might feel that way. But I also think that there are a lot of Republicans who are trying to figure out, what does this all mean? And I think we have to have a conversation about expanding the party, which is what we tried to do theoretically after 2012. And now I think we're going to have to lose another presidential election to learn a lesson we should have learned after losing the last two.
What do you do with your family when, you have these discussions with your brother, and then is there a point where you just go, okay, let's talk about something else?
Well, I try to make it seem lighthearted in the column, but actually it can get pretty testy. And when I was covering W, my older brother said to me, if there was a hurricane, you would blame it on Bush. And then there was a hurricane, and I blamed it on Bush.
Yeah.
Katrina.
Because it was a fuck up.
Yeah, Katrina, he really
of course.
screwed up, so.
But like when it's your family, okay. I mean, you can't change your family, and you love your family no matter what. But like, I never understood like Matlin and Carvo. Like, I never understood people who could marry someone who's in the other party, because I feel like politics is an extension of your morality. And,
well, it feels like that this time, for sure. Right? Because you have, I mean, the differences between these two candidates, the kind of way Trump is talking about so many Americans.
I've read articles about married couples where the husband, usually, of course, the guy is voting for Trump, and the woman, and it's like literally causing a rift in the marriage. And I can understand that. To me, that would be a real deal breaker, you know.
But there have been moments when certain Republicans have stood up for doing the right thing. Remember when that woman said Obama's an Arab, and McCain said, oh, no, he found his soul.
Right.
And then Powell got even better and said, yeah, and what if he was a Muslim? Is there something wrong with that? You know, there are times. There was a time when the Republican Party jettisoned the John Birch Society. The people who said foreigners get out, and they said,
right.
That's un-American, and we're not going, if that means losing you, we lose you. Parties do that. The Democrats lost the South because they said, no,
absolutely,
no more segregation. And this is the chance. This is the chance for you guys who sleep in Reagan underoos to suddenly come out.
You remind me I have to get a new pair soon.
There you go. This is the chance. Do it.
But it's going the other way. Ted Cruz today. You know,
no, but he is a reliable douchebag.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's going to be really hard for the Republican Party to invite more people in after Trump went through and just like shot a bullet through every single person that was out there. Blacks, Latinos.
I completely get that. But you know what? It's not a cause that I want to give up on. I don't think it's a cause that I think there are some people that really are committed to this, and we'll have to see what happens. It might be the case that the Republican Party, is never the same.
When I was a kid, Republicans,
or he could win.
Or he could win.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
Right.
He could win.
He could win.
Which is why a protest vote doesn't matter, because. A protest is only as good in as much progress as
Let's just beat this guy. Until he
just won't vote.
Until he says you're not leaving here until you're voting for Hillary. We're gonna. That's right. No.
There are other people considering protest votes. Johnson, other people.
Yeah, but why don't we all admit it to him? Why don't we all admit if there was a total whack job lefty running as the Democrat?
Anthony Weiner.
Right. If Anthony
Weiner was running on the Democratic side,
I would vote against him.
I would vote against Weiner.
I would totally
if it was Colin Powell on one side and Anthony Weiner on the other side, sign me up.
Or Mitt Romney.
I'd vote for Romney over Weiner.
Right. Because
yeah, I would too.
Okay, and so would we all. We're willing to go there, brother. You with us?
Well,
Oh, man!
Okay, well, leave this poor guy alone.
He's a double pay.
Hillary Clinton's no Colin Powell.
He's a double pay.
We have few enough Asian Americans on our show. We don't want to alienate them.
Today you got two. Today you got two.
This is your quota for the year.
Right.
Yeah, I know, we're done.
Okay.
But we're not from Jamaica.
And a Jamaican. Will there be repercussions for our food system as a result of the Bayer-Monsanto merger? Oh, not since the Hitler-Stalin pact have I applauded a merger like that one.
This is a big one, and this is one of those headlines that nobody talks about. What happened was, for 12,000 years, farmers have banked a little bit of their seeds every year to replant. Then Monsanto came along and said, no, these seeds are intellectual property like iPhones. You need to buy new seeds every planting season. They control 90% of our soybeans, 80% of our corn, which is in everything. That's bad enough. And now we are giving the control of our food supply to a foreign power, the Germans, who could very easily, legally, sell it to China, who could blackmail us with a food embargo the same way the Arabs did it in the 1970s. And that
Mr.
Gus.
Boy, thanks for coming on, Debbie Downer.
Big smile, everybody.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And what's even worse is that when Bayer bought the Monsanto, they had to borrow a ton of money to do it. And so now you've got this company who's broke, who's got to make back all this money. they're going to do everything they can to make sure that no GMO legislation is passed in America. You think before, when they were spending millions of dollars, they're going to spend billions of dollars now to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Okay. Obama's got 6 shows. We have 6 shows left to do.
And then no more racism.
What do you?
Yeah.
Or crime.
You think he'll do it? You think he's going to come on this show? I'm losing hope.
I think so.
I know you were one of my big supporters of getting Obama on the show. What is he afraid of?
I don't understand how you lost out to Bear Grylls and Anthony Bourdain. That's embarrassing.
To every show ever been on the air.
Even that girl with the green lipstick.
Right. What do you think it is?
Maybe it's the Anthony Weiner jokes.
It's because they're tame and safe.
Thank you.
Focus grouped.
Yay.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Back on. Ralph, many churches are taking in Syrian refugees, but Trump has called for a ban on Muslim immigration. What side do you take on that issue?
I think that we ought to take a serious look at who's coming in before we decide who comes in. I know personally Christians who have had to flee Syria and are staying, they're in Lebanon or they're in Jordan. Oh, yeah. I have a humanitarian organization that I have good friends that support, and they've had to get out of there because it's a war zone. On the other hand, you've got a lot of Islamic fighters and some really bad people in Syria. So it's a very tough issue. And I don't know how, as people are entering, how you're going to be able to tell
exactly
the good from the bad. It's going to be difficult.
You can't.
It's a hard issue.
You can't tell what's in somebody's head.
Actually, we have a pretty thorough vetting process, actually. I mean, it's like...
You cannot vet the inside of a person's mind.
That's right, you can't, but... I mean, they take an extraordinary amount of resources and time to do as much background as they can.
Well, if you look at the when you look at the San Bernardino killers,
those people have been living here for long. They weren't recently from Syria.
No,
I mean, those people have been living here. They were citizens.
But Margaret, they were people who had been radicalized and were communicating with people online, and we didn't know it.
Right.
So I don't think
that doesn't have to do with immigration. That has to do with hate speech that happens from people like Donald Trump, who, when he talks about how
you can blame San Bernardino on Donald Trump. I'm not
blaming San Bernardino on Donald Trump, but the facts exist that when you encourage racism toward the Muslim community in the United States, the backlash is more radicalization.
Two things I think were...
But radicalization preceded any of this hate speech.
First of all, Ralph,
I agree.
I know you know your New Testament, and I try to know it a little bit too, but I don't remember Jesus ever talking about carefully vetting people before you have them come to your table. That's not an important concept. And secondly,
reasonable,
but I'm not saying it's unreasonable. Bill's question was about churches and the role of the church in doing those things. And the second point I think that needs making always about this stuff is we do have a system in place. You were saying as much. This is not an emergency in that way. And let's always remember one thing that came up this week. I don't know if everyone saw. It was about polling in 1939 about allowing Jews from Europe into the United States. And what everybody said, huge majority, was we have to vet these people very carefully because we don't know if we can trust them or not. And huge numbers were never allowed into this country with the results we know. So we have a good tradition in our country of welcoming people in, and a bad tradition of
we're letting millions of Muslims into our country. We have
millions.
Millions? Yes.
We're letting millions in?
Yes.
We were talking about Syria.
We have a very large Indonesian Muslim community.
Wait.
Indian Muslim.
Wait. You said we're letting in millions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Currently letting in millions.
Yeah, they're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from Asia. They're coming
I don't think millions is the correct number, Ralph.
I think it is.
I don't think
not
it is.
Annually. I'm not saying annually.
But overall.
But yeah, they're absolutely coming in. And no one's being denied entry into the United States today.
Well, plenty of people
because of their faith. No one.
And they shouldn't be.
Nor should they be.
Nor should they be.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'm glad we all agree.
And by the way, what was going on in 1939 was not just concerns about vetting. It wasn't just that.
Right.
Everybody knew what was going on in Eastern Europe. Everybody. And our government was totally insensitive to what was happening to the Jews. We turned rescue ships away, and it is a black mark on this country that we're still having to live down.
And the reason we did that, you're absolutely right, couldn't agree more, but the reason we did that is because there was a huge majority of Americans who were frightened of outsiders. And FDR thought it was politically essential that he not allow those people in because there would be a revolt against it from the very same, what were they called? America Firsters, whose great-grandchildren are now.
Yeah, let's also not forget that in Middle Eastern countries, there used to be Jews.
Yes,
and they were pretty much
Christians.
Pretty much. Well, there are still some Christians, although they're having
a rough time. But the Christian community in Iraq has largely
fled. They pretty much ethnically cleansed.
Yes,
all the Jews.
And by the way,
all those Muslim countries.
By the way,
let's not pretend
it's the Islamists who are doing that.
Of course,
they're the ones driving out the Jews. They're the ones driving out the Christians. They're the ones who are threatening to execute anybody that doesn't convert to their twisted version of Islam. Let's be very clear what the enemy is.
Okay. Can we expect more price gouging on life-saving medication like the EpiPen?
I hope
yes. Well, of course we can, because we don't have single payer.
You know, I come from that horrible, radical, revolutionary country called Canada, where we had socialized medicine and single payer for decades and decades and decades and decades. And it's a weird thing, you know, if you actually come from Canada, if you've lived in Canada, liberty is not suppressed. People's right to freedom is in no way impeded.
Did your children have to shed blood to take it back?
Oh, totally. Totally.
I see.
And if a child, you know,
How many children do you have left from the fight?
Well, after the Canadian government claims one child and sacrifices it in order to pay for the socialized medicine. But, you know, the simple truth is I have a wonderful nephew who was born incredibly prematurely, as Carrie's not going to be blessedly, and cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to care for that child. And his parents had to pay not a single dollar, because that was something that we understood as a community responsibility. That's a blessing. It's a blessing. And if I might say, it's a Christian blessing. And it was always supported by the churches in Canada.
Speaking as somebody who's A, the son of an MD, and B, was born severely premature at a time when many who were born, I was born 6 weeks premature, and most people at that time didn't survive that.
I'm not going to make any jokes, Ralph. I say absolutely nothing. All I can say is you recovered beautifully. You recovered beautifully,
Bill, just feel free to be yourself. Don't worry. No offense taken. But I believe very strongly that that health care and choices about health care is too important to be left to government. And I think that a far better system is to allow the market to work, allow people to choose their own doctor.
Ralph,
and the fact is, there are Canadians who have to come across our border.
That is just not true.
The market
I would also say
that, Ralph,
let me just finish my point.
That's why they jacked up the cost of the EpiPen.
I'm not justifying what happened on the EpiPen.
But that's what happens with the market.
What I am telling you is that
because people in the market want more money.
There is a reason why most cutting-edge pharmaceutical...
Right.
Can I make my point?
Yes.
There's a reason why most cutting-edge pharmaceutical medications are not invented in Canada. But there's a reason why they're invented elsewhere.
Ralph,
because the government fixes the prices. And once you do that, you kill R&D budgets, you kill innovation, and you kill the discoveries that save lives.
And when you raise the price of the EpiPen, you kill the patient.
I said, Bill, I made it clear. I made it abundantly clear. I'm not defending the price gouging that they did.
But the price gouging is essential to market.
I believe in a sunset provision that leads to generic drugs. But you can't have the government setting prices and expect people to
on matters of life and death.
Ralph, all I can tell you is I've lived in Canada, which has a single-payer system. I've lived in France, which actually has a complicated private and public system together. And I've lived in the United States. And let me tell you that people in Canada and France are, as a rule, far more satisfied with the way they get medical care and with the security they get. And their freedom is not limited in any way. This should not be this is not a left-right issue. This is an issue of common sense and pragmatic evidence.
It's a left-right issue.
Right. One more question, because Carrie's going to have her baby.
Here in the United States, not in Canada or
Was
France.
the hubbub over Hillary's pneumonia a media creation, or was she being purposely evasive? Well, I think she was being somewhat evasive, but I don't think it's a horrible crime to have a malady and think, you know what? I'm not going to tell anybody because I'll get over it before they even know.
It's also totally a catch-22, because she's sort of caught in this position where they're saying she doesn't have enough stamina. She's a first woman. We don't have in this country a Golda Meir, like somebody who was 70 years old and became prime minister of Israel. Right? That we don't even forget. We don't even have Margaret Thatcher. I mean, she is the first woman, and she is going against all these years. So she does. I mean, you can understand she's tough. She's going to power through, except for then it catches up to her. And so she couldn't have won one way or the other. But her secrecy is the part that undermined it.
I disagree more strongly. As a candidate for president, and as somebody who aspires to the highest office of the land, your priority should always be the public's right to know.
Yeah.
And the minute she was,
but this is,
Donald
you can
Trump has certainly,
can I finish my point?
Yeah, finish your point.
The minute she was diagnosed,
don't walk into a trap here.
This is exactly
the minute she was diagnosed with pneumonia, she should have had her doctor issue a statement. She should have come forward and issued a statement, and if she had done that, Bill,
it would have been
her having the episode that she had at that 9/11 memorial would have never hurt her politically nearly as bad as it did.
You know what I think she should have done? I think she should have found, I hear you, I think she should have found a doctor who wrote a letter saying she would be the most healthy president in history. And then I think she should have gone on like a medical daytime talk show and talked about it. I think that's what she should have done.
I think anybody who can campaign.
I also love her joke about like, well, at least finally now Republicans are paying attention to women's health. Like, my favorite.
A deeper issue, which none of us want to look at, is there's no real correlation between how healthy a president is and how well they perform. FDR, let us remember, was in a wheelchair. JFK was seriously ill throughout his presidency.
I think Woodrow Wilson would be an exception to that.
Woodrow Wilson might be an exception to that, although although Mrs. Wilson actually did a decent job in
not elected, not a good argument. Not a good argument.
Hey, Adam, that leads to Bill. I'd stay away from that message.
Not the worst possible result.
Running the country. How about that?
And the other thing I think worth saying is that what Hillary has, the pneumonia, can be cured. What Trump has apparently cannot be.
Well,
we'll leave it there. Barney, was it at all heartening to hear you to hear Donald Trump acknowledge violence against the LGBT community?
No, because he did it in a very limited way. He's protecting us against a foreign ideology. In the 45 years I've been involved in this, the number of foreign ideologues who've attacked us is quite small. It was a terrible event, but they were very specific. Homegrown bigots, they have free reign. And he also has said, and I'm going to go back to the Supreme Court, he has announced that his model for the Supreme Court is Antonin Scalia, who was the most important homophobe ever to hold high office in America. And you appointed Antonin Scalia to the United States Supreme Court. You have done more to unravel the gains we have made than anything else. So no, that was like a lot of other things in that platform cover. He opposes everything that would protect us against most of our oppression, and he's going to protect us against a foreign invasion.
Okay. Cornell, as Obama's term in office comes to a close, have you rethought the impact of his legacy at all? Because I know you had a lot of problems with Brother Barack. Also not pure enough for you.
No, it's not a matter of purity, though, brother. It's a matter of consistency. We don't confuse those two. Purity has to do with not being human. All of us are human beings. Integrity has to do with human beings questing for something beyond just sheer cupidity, love of money, and love of status. Now, what was the question? No, I know what it was. But,
let me rephrase it.
But I'll put it this way. I always look at the world through the poor. Black child poverty today, 47% of all black children in the richest nation in the history of the world, under 6, live in utter poverty. To me, that's a crime against humanity. It has gone up. It has gone up under Barack Obama.
But
it has gone up.
But not
I don't like that.
because of Barack Obama.
No, not because. But have you heard him give one speech in 8 years on child poverty?
Yes.
Where was it?
I've heard him talk to Congress about it. And
I'm not talking about Congress, I'm talking about the public, my brother.
Well, it's not secret when he talks to us. And the problem is, of course, he's had a Republican Congress for 6 years.
No, you can't blame the Republicans on that.
Of course you can. That's the fact.
He's got a bully pit. He's got a bully pit he can use.
A bully pit. Bully pulpit.
Yes.
He can't pass laws.
You were close.
He cannot pass laws by preaching.
We're not talking about passing laws.
Yes, we are.
Shaping the climate of opinion,
No,
my
you have
brother.
no idea how to get change made. You're not going to get change. You're not going to help poor kids by making speeches that the Republican Congress votes against. We have to elect people who will vote the right way.
No, I think you give much too much power to politicians. Politicians are
not to politicians, to the voters.
No,
you
but
make that big mistake.
But the voters are not static. The voters have to have their minds changed. Politicians usually don't do it. That's why none of them stood up for gay rights at the national level. They were cowardly. That's why they didn't stand up. They didn't want to lose.
You go back to this rhetoric that doesn't hold up to analysis. The fact is that many of us are trying. Bernie Sanders was trying. And again, I'm struck.
At the national level.
I am struck by how frequently and completely you are now repudiating Bernie Sanders' approach to politics.
No, I'm not. Bernie's got both sides going. I'm repudiating one side.
He's
got both sides going. He's got inside, outside.
He's for Hillary Clinton. You're for Jill Steiner.
Well, he's wrong in that, but he's
wrong.
That's
what
happens in the bully pit.
He's my dear brother. He's my dear brother. He's just wrong. That's all.
Let's ask one more question and get to the drinking part of the night. Because you guys are going to get along a lot better after a martini each.
Cornell, one question.
Yes?
Cornell, I have one question.
Yes, my brother.
You say, well, Jill Steiner appointed Supreme Court Justice. I understand you want to be for her now. You're going to bring her up. If 3 weeks before the election, it is very clear that it will be either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, that Jill Stein's efforts, her debate, whatever, have not worked. If that's the clear choice, will you vote for Hillary Clinton?
It would be an anti-Trump vote, yes.
But you would vote Hillary Clinton.
He got to yes. He got to San Francisco.
He got to San Francisco. If you're going to San Francisco,
that was a specific context.
Be sure to wear some flowers in your hair.
When people voted for me, who didn't like me, but hated my opponent, I wanted to kiss them.
Right.
Well, but
I'll take it.
But that's a very special circumstance.
Can we just point out that only 10 states in this country are swing states? So
yes.
Voting third parties is not a hard thing for me to fathom living in the state of New York. Donald Trump is not going to win.
He thinks he could win New York.
He thinks a lot of things.
Matt, I disagree. I disagree in one case regarding Donald Trump. I think given the vileness of his campaign, I want to see a large majority against him in the total vote.
As a repudiation
I think people will be looking at it. I want him to get fewer votes than anybody has ever gotten.
And the amazing thing about this election is that we don't know. Nobody really knows. I mean, Trump could win in a walk, or Hillary could win 49 states. I just don't know, and that's what's so scary about it. Thank you very much, everybody. You were a great audience. We are in overtime. Vigo, is there any historical figure in American politics who you could see yourself portraying in a film? Anybody you admire? No? Really? You don't admire George Washington?
No.
Why? Because he was a slaveholder?
Yeah.
Picky.
That's a good reason.
So you don't go with the argument that it was just the way things were done back then. Yeah.
That's not a good enough reason.
No. All right. Jelani, is it fair to compare the tactics of Black Lives Matter? So I guess Mitt Romney is completely out. Is it fair to compare the tactics of Black Lives Matter to Occupy Wall Street? Who's doing that?
Yeah, I don't know that that's the case. I mean, aside from them both being protest movements on the left, I don't know that you say that there's a whole lot of basis for comparison. And the other thing I think is that Black Lives Matter has a organizational structure that's kind of become increasingly defined as time has gone on, and that didn't really happen so much with Occupy.
Okay. Frank, do you think Hillary...
No more.
No.
You killed me already.
Frank, you came out very feisty.
I died.
You did.
I know I died.
No, you didn't. That was very entertaining television. Was that not entertaining? No, honestly, I mean, you just came out loaded for bear. I don't know why. I mean, I've known you for a long time. You've been on this show. You used to consult on this show. You just, that's fine. But
you kicked my ass, but I still have a gift for you.
I didn't kick your ass, but you did have feisty with your.
Show it to them.
What does that say? I already hate our next. Thank you. That's awesome. All right. So, Frank, do you think Hillary's campaign slogans, "I'm with her" and "Better Together," are working for her? I mean, you're the master of changing people's minds with words. You go to your evil laboratory and come up with things. I mean, Frank came up with the death tax instead of the estate tax, and everybody changed on that. I don't think she has a good team doing this, right? Those are not good, right, Frank?
And I would tell her at the National Convention, no teleprompter. She's been doing this now for 25 years. She can do it.
Really?
She comes out, no teleprompter, 25, 30 minutes just looking straight at the American people and saying...
Just trumps it? Just like starts going off on how great she is? And,
she speaks in complete sentences. That's not bad.
Viggo, do you think living abroad has given you a different perspective on American politics?
Maybe. I think just watching how people watch for example, a presidential campaign, it's different than the way it happens here because there it matters. They really think about who's going to be president because we have so much power militarily and economically.
That you get. I mean, it must be much more informed than our horrible news.
You can inform yourself here. You
have to work harder.
Yeah, you have to, but you have to everywhere. I mean, there's right-wing, left-wing press everywhere, and you have to make up your mind. It's just that people are lazy. I mean, when I drive across the country a lot, the United States, and I listen to the radio, and it's very difficult to hear anything other than a kind of scripted right-wing diatribe all the time, unless you get close to a major city, and then you can listen to some, alternative media that's more center or liberal.
Maybe upgrade from the car you're renting.
But I do.
to one with FM, because FM is really coming around.
No, but I do. No, I'm serious. I mean, you can't. Yes, true. An FM. I realized that a couple months ago. But no, I get up every morning and I make myself listen, no matter where I am in the world, through using my computer. I'll listen to Fox. I'll listen to Sean Hannity, Savage, all those guys. I can take about 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
You're a better man than I.
No, but I want to hear. I want to hear what's going on. It's better to know what people are saying.
Sure. Okay.
But it takes work.
Essie, will all the GOP elite boycotting the convention next week have any effect on Trump's candidacy? Now, both Bushes are not going. The last two nominees are not going, Romney and McCain. The governor of the state where the convention is being held is not going.
Wow.
Will this have any effect on Trump's candidacy? Probably elect him.
Nothing that Antonio Sabato Jr. can't solve.
All right.
We're in good hands.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, folks. You're a terrific audience. We are on overtime. Barbara Lee, are you satisfied with how the Democratic Party platform came out? I heard Bernie lost on everything.
Bernie did not lose on everything. I'm actually
a
member of the drafting. I'm a member of the drafting committee of the platform, and I would say the negotiations between Senator Clinton, Secretary of State Clinton, and Senator Sanders. Points of views, the negotiations went very well. We got into the platform abolishing the death penalty, decriminalization of marijuana. Yes. Glass-Steagall.
What about carbon tax? Bernie was...
No, and I supported the amendment for carbon tax, even though I was not a Sanders appointee.
What about minimum
wage? $15 an hour minimum wage, yes, that's in the platform also. When you look at, health care is a human right. We didn't get Medicare.
Are you a delegate?
I have not endorsed either. I'm a super delegate, but I have not endorsed.
Oh,
I have not endorsed Hillary Clinton.
So you are an available super delegate?
Sanders, and I'm helping work on the platform, trying to make the platform become what the American people want. And I think the Secretary of State and Senator Sanders are doing quite a fine job in moving the platform to where everyone can embrace it and campaign on it and beat Donald Trump.
Your phone is ringing off the hook.
It's not.
Jim Gaffigan, how do you plan to keep your 5 children entertained when you go on tour with them this summer? Leave them with me. I love kids.
Well, now that pot is legal, no, iPads, swimming pools.
Right. Okay. So you take your kid. You take your kids on the road on your.
We do. We go on a tour bus and we
tour bus.
show a night. And
now, how many rooms do you have to get in the motel?
We get 2 connecting ones, and you know, it's chaos, but it's fun. I mean, it's exhausting.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
You should come along.
I can't wait. Absolutely. Whew, kids. How old is the oldest now?
I have no idea. 12. 12, 10, 7, 5, 3.
Oh, my. So you...
Yeah.
What, and are you done now?
I don't know.
That's right, Catholic. Up to God. Right?
No, it's, I mean, it's, I know that's the rule that you think that, like, Jesus is telling us that, but you know, we're open to it. That's what the Pope says. Look, I do like 10% of the work. My wife, I love children. There's not a single child that I would trade back in, so if there's another one, there's another one.
10% of the work? You're talking about your sex life?
Yeah.
Gary, John...
I mean, I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, sure.
Kind of fits, right? Gary Johnson, do you have a comprehensive plan to combat climate change?
Well, I think that...
Follow that.
Do I have a comprehensive plan? No. I do believe climate change is man-made. I do believe that the free market has really taken it to coal. Coal has been bankrupted.
That's not because of the free market. That's because Obama and the EPA.
No, coal is selling at an all-time low, and even lower than the sales price for coal is natural gas. So no new plants.
But that didn't happen because of the free market.
Well, we're demanding less carbon emission as consumers, and the price of coal, like I say, as low as it is even natural gas is even lower. So no new plants are going to be built.
So you think the free market can handle the problem of global warming?
I think that we as consumers are demanding less carbon emission, and that we're going to get.
But that's sort of inherently weird, right? Like, you have a problem that was caused by the Industrial Revolution, and you're a libertarian, so you want then the thing that caused it to magically uncause it or solve it. Like, what other what other example has ever that happened?
Well, if you look at the model for the future, I think the model for the future is Tesla. Look, where you got solar panels on the roof, you're storing.
But is there an example of like
in...
a public security or social problem that's been solved by its cause?
You know, this stuff you're saying is just right over the top of my head.
It's kind of a short question.
No, I think it's an excellent question, and I honestly wish the Libertarian Party sounded less like the Republican Party on that issue, which to me is the most important issue. I mean, you know.
Well,
I'd like to come aboard, but
we're
this
16% of the world's population. 37% of the coal load, or the electrical load right now, is coming from coal. No new coal plants are going to be built. We're going to significantly reduce CO2 emission in this country.
Well, I hope Miami is still here when we do. Louise, who do you think will succeed David Cameron as prime minister now that nobody else wants it?
Oh, quite a lot of people want it. But
Boris
I think,
Johnson
well,
was going to be the guy.
He's out. He's House of Cards style ejected. So I think it'll be a guy called Michael Gove.
Why did that happen?
Probably because Boris was insufficiently committed to actually taking us out of Brexit. Yeah, I think he was having a little bit of a doubt. Yeah, we think he was a little bit lukewarm. So maybe a guy called Michael Gove or a woman called Andrea Leadsom, my dark horse bet. Either one of those two, but it's going to be somebody that's fully committed to Brexit because we're all in for free trade. We like the free market.
And who's going to end up on Game of Thrones? Who's going to be?
Well, we would have nominated Donald Trump if we could have caught him while he was in Scotland, but he made a quick getaway, so sadly.
That's a good. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
so like for a family-friendly house like yours,
yes.
That's not too violent and too dirty and too.
I mean, I'm not making my 3-year-old watch it.
Right.
I'm not having him watch Ramsey Bolton cut off the guy's penis.
I know.
But yeah,
that's okay.
We watched that, and I mean, not the young kids, but yeah.
What's the most out there show you can handle?
That I can handle?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
Well, I don't want to hear any strong language, Bill. No. I mean, we'll watch everything. Actually, I let my 10 and 12-year-old watch Walking Dead, which is pretty ridiculous, but they love the stories.
Okay.
Is that the right answer?
Yeah, no. There are no wrong answers here.
There's lots of gruesome martyr stories in Catholicism. I'm a Catholic too, so we're raised with really with quite a lot of torture porn in the religion. People getting crushed to death by stones and burnt alive and having their tongues ripped out.
How about you know who? That's torture.
That's that's right. That's pretty much everywhere. Yeah. So I mean, we actually were first on Game of Thrones. We should sue for royalties, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, Mel Gibson is making a sequel to Passion of the Christ.
Wow.
You didn't know that?
I didn't. Oh. I mean, it's not like I would know. I mean, I'm just Catholic. I'm not a spokesman.
And yet...
It's like essentially, I'm the only comedian who believes in God. It's like me and Colbert. I know nothing.
Right, okay.
You know what, though? I was raised a Catholic in the Catholic Church. I'm not a Catholic anymore, but it was the social justice message of the Bible and of Jesus Christ and the revolutionary nature of his life that really, encouraged me to be a Catholic, and that was my reason for it.
So why'd you quit?
Why'd I quit? Because I could not handle the Catholic
Catholicism
on women, on divorce, on all of the issues that oppress people, especially women. I just couldn't handle it, and so that's why I had to leave.
But look, the United States has done horrible things. Why don't you leave the United States?
But that's sort of. I'm going to stay here and try to help make it better.
I know.
I decided I wasn't going to do that with this religion because there are many other religions I could.
I know. I'm just messing.
But your democracy comparison's weird because the United States does those things and people actively oppose it. In a religion, it's one truth that you're subscribing to. It's different.
Not exactly.
I'm not that smart. What are you?
I noticed the prosecutor in him comes out during overtime.
Right.
Where was this during the show? All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back here on whatever we're back on. Michael, should Republicans in down ticket races embrace Trump or run away from him?
What they're going to do is they're going to assess likely to not be as close as they want or would be otherwise because of the baggage that he's bringing on immigration and a bunch of other issues. So, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of down-ballot candidates. You're already beginning to see that say, you know what, I don't need to go to the convention. I don't need to have you come into the district. And we'll see how that plays out.
Paul Begala, should Hillary use Bill more as the campaign heats up, or is he too much of a liability?
No, he's a total asset, and I think you'll see him a lot, particularly in those Rust Belt states where Trump is strong. His appeal, especially with white working class guys, it's at the heart of the Trump. They all voted for Bill Clinton 20 years ago. He can get a lot of them, at least talk to them, and try to get them off of their crazy. I want to see him out there a lot.
Yeah, but does Hillary?
Sure. How is his health? I have to say, I'm concerned. He doesn't look good.
Well, it's now years since he had the heart surgery, but he's doing great.
He needs to eat a cheeseburger once in a while.
He's healthy and thin now. Everybody mocked him when he was eating at McDonald's, and now they're mocking him because he only eats, bean burritos.
Right, because there's a happy medium.
He's doing great.
Okay.
By the way, you should see
hope
his
so.
schedule. He's off to, he's always off to Africa, especially where his foundation is saving millions of lives. I mean, he travels all the time. He just works his butt off.
Okay, Shu, and I'm just going to call you Shu. Is that what, do people?
Well, I'll take what I can get. But
do people call you that?
No.
No, but it seems like it's a short for Shuzakat.
You'll get that one day, bro. It's okay.
If you saw how it was spelled, you'd feel sorry for me.
It's not helpful, the spelling at all.
Xiuhtezcatl. Yeah, good luck with that. I think Shu's a good name. What can one person do to influence global climate policy?
I'd like to think that there's more than one person that cares about influencing global climate policy. So I say get involved with people around you, make a difference. It's about one of the greatest issues of our time, you know? So one person can get involved and connect with other people in their community to make a difference, get involved with politics, get involved with business, get involved with science, whatever it is that you're passionate about, get engaged with that to make a difference. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah. Man, how do we... I think a better question is, how do we clone more kids like you?
Well, I think the good thing is that we don't have to, because at least in my personal experience, I've met millions of young people all over the world. Well, that might be an exaggeration. I met a lot of young people all over the world that are already thinking the way that, you know, I've been thinking my entire life and are ready for change. They're ready for change. I mean, our voices have been systemically disempowered since the day that we're born. We're not going to make a difference until you graduate college and you get a career. Then you'll contribute to society. But the way that I see it is we're one of the most powerful forces on the planet right now. But we got to use that.
Yeah. But you just... No one would think this guy was 16, right? If you didn't know.
Can I ask him a
It was like, remember when LeBron was first in the NBA?
Yeah, right.
It was like, this guy's 32. He's kidding. He didn't just come out of high school.
But how are you dealing with the system? I mean, your passion and your energy is contagious. How is it being received by the system itself? I mean, whether it's at the local level, the state level, the governments that are going to be making the policy.
Exactly. So I mean, working with the system, because obviously if I just like stood in the street with a sign and a bullhorn, like where am I going to get? You know, that's part of it, but at the same time, that's why I'm in a federal lawsuit holding our federal government accountable for violating our constitutional right to a healthy atmosphere. I'm working with the system on a legal level. I'm working on the system with the political level. I've been a voice for my generation at the United Nations. I'm on Bill Maher. Like, there's all these crazy things that are happening, getting me out in the mainstream, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, can I ask you talked with Bill earlier about music, art, and culture and how that reaches your generation. Who's doing that right in your generation? Who's reaching your age cohort through music, art, and culture to make them care about the fact that the planet is on fire?
Well, personally, I know a lot of artists that I listen to personally that are already on the right track. You know, my homie Rory's in the audience, my friend Mustafa, they're in the audience and they're here, and they're artists that are already thinking, how can we use this passion that we have, these talents that we have?
How can we get Kanye to know about this?
I think there's a lot of other people we can focus on that aren't Kanye. They are more likely, you know?
There it is.
I love the crowd turning on Kanye.
No disrespect.
They are hysterical, aren't they?
He's right. The shout out to Rory. I had him on my show. He's amazing.
Right. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
He's awesome, man.
But Kanye would be a tough one to turn around because he's very into materialism.
Yeah.
The bling is very important.
Well, I mean, how do we make bling sustainable?
Big part of rap culture.
Yeah,
that you gotta, you know, it's hard to rap about not having.
Yeah.
Rap about heat, warm weather.
Larry, as someone with experience in sitcoms, late night, and sketch TV shows, which format offers the best opportunity for social criticism?
Well, late night television for direct social criticism. It's harder to do it in sitcoms. All in the Family, it was...
Oh, Blackish, pretty...
Blackish, we have done it.
Yeah.
But that was the show I was involved with also.
Right.
And from the beginning, we wanted that show to be a show about a black family, where the Cosby Show, well, it's hard to mention Cosby without going there.
Why? What happened?
No, the Cosby Show... the Cosby
So what do
Show,
you refer to?
No, nothing at all.
I didn't think so.
But the Cosby Show was a show about a family that happened to be black, where Blackish was like, no, motherfuckers, we're black.
Right.
You know? and that was the big difference, you know? So it was taking on race without apology, you know, and creating stories that are universal family stories without apology. But it's harder to do that in sitcoms. I think the late night format is the most direct way to do satire, though.
Okay, does Bernie saying he will vote for Hillary, that was news yesterday, have an impact on the Bernie voters who have yet to get behind the presumptive Democratic nominee? And it was a bit of a mixed message Bernie gave. I couldn't quite figure it out. He's staying in the race, but he's voting for not him.
He said this morning he's still running for president, but he will not be voting for himself for president. So I imagine the Bernie bros are a little baffled.
Yeah.
I would find that perplexing. At this point, like, I just feel like people are kind of over the Bernie thing a little bit, maybe. We know Clinton's going to be the nominee. It's kind of done. I'm not sure. I mean, there's just so much, the media attention has shifted completely away from his campaign.
So instead of feeling the burn, you want you to sense the burn?
Yeah, vibe the
Imagine the burn.
Totally.
I'm very optimistic about this. We saw this with Hillary and Barack. The most important thing is when it looked like Senator Obama was going to win, he pulled back, and he told his team that. Let's stop attacking her. Let's give her the time and space to finish her race. If you watch, that's what Hillary did with Bernie, too. It's a sign of respect. But now they're going to have to come together. And they will. They really will. And as I said earlier, his voters have a smaller percentage of his voters today say they'll never be for Hillary than Hillary's voters said about Barack. The challenge will be to motivate them. She got crushed with young people by Bernie. She's got to find a way to motivate them. She's got to get your slightly older big brothers and sisters out, and he will be central to that. That's why her team is giving him all this time and space.
Well, and like even though even though he didn't become our president, like he stirred things up. You know, he really stirred things up, especially among a younger generation. And we'll never be able to forget that.
And we have to respect that.
But the question is, can Hillary capture that kind of energy and sustain it? And that's something I just don't think she can, because I don't think it's in her nature to be in that space that Bernie is. I mean, there's all this conversation running around.
I completely disagree with that. I think
so?
I think it's a race between alien versus predator. I think, I really do. And Hillary, that political machine, the Clintons, is a killing political machine.
It is.
Anything that's bad. Hillary,
he knows better than
No, Hillary Clinton should not be underestimated. She's smart, she's competent, she knows exactly what she's doing. She'll be there.
But she, like Donald Trump, creates her own drag as well. And so the question going into the campaign when it begins in August is how much drag does she create given all those variables with the youth vote?
It won't be seen.
Her drag.
I mean, I'm not taking away from anything that you just said, but I'm just that's part of the.
But her drag is all old drag.
Yeah.
It's all stuff that's. Trump creates new drag every day.
Exactly.
I think part of the problem for Hillary is that all of her strengths are not things that translate into getting tons of 18-and-a-half-year-olds to show up at rallies. Like Hillary is really good at having a wonky, detailed conversation about how to fix the opioid epidemic, but like nobody's going to be like, hooray, gradual change as far as the student loan crisis. I can't wait for the tax code to be slightly tweaked.
Yes.
Like, no, I mean, people don't stand in line for hours for that stuff.
So, but she has a secret weapon, Donald J. Trump. He's going to be the greatest turnout machine the Democrats have ever had.
And
she also has President Obama, and she also has her husband. She's going to have a running mate soon.
But she will be too. And so don't underestimate that either.
Yes, but see, his voters, Donald Trump's voters, this is all they do is like bitch about their prostate and vote. They're very loyal voters.
Yeah,
okay?
That's true.
People, they're hard to turn out. We need motivators. We need work. We need organization.
Or else it's going to be Brexit too.
Yes.
That's right.
But that's why charismatic candidates work for Democrats more, because they need to fall in love with people.
They need to fall in love.
The Messiah.
Yeah.
Hope and change. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, we don't need to love you. We just need you there. So we just.
That's one of Bill Clinton's laws.
Space.
He always said, Democrats want to fall in love. Republicans just want to fall in line.
Right.
And they have fallen in line.
We just need you there.
They do.
Who do you think or hope would be her Veep pick? If you could like have
it's not
any
about,
ideal
well,
person.
See, the problem is I think about the election, and it's a governing issue. The vice president has never really mattered. Even Sarah Palin didn't tank McCain. Even Dan Quayle didn't tank George H.W. Bush. Even Lloyd Bentsen couldn't save Mike Dukakis. In my lifetime, I'm 55, I know that makes me ancient, but in my lifetime, it's never been outcome determinative. So you should actually pick somebody who, God forbid you die, could actually run the country. 21% of our presidents got there because the president died or resigned. So you got to think about it that way. It can't just be, who'll help me carry, Kentucky. Right. That's what, I know her 25 years. She's sitting there saying, God forbid I die, who could take over? God willing I live, who could be a governing partner? The way I think Biden has been wonderfully for President Obama. Right.
And
that's how you have to do this.
And who cannot suck all the oxygen out of the room. Like Elizabeth Warren.
And that's why Elizabeth Warren won't be on the ticket.
I don't think that's the consideration about that. But Biden's very...
well, that's why she won't be the vice president.
Can I do a
Nobody wants to be the bride and have the bridesmaids deal all.
Correct.
Right. It just ain't happening.
That's why they dress the bridesmaids in shitty colors.
Also, if we're talking about Elizabeth Warren, so last week you were criticizing Republican Senate leaders for running into the elevators, the morning after Trump says something stupid. Elizabeth Warren does that every day on Capitol Hill.
Is that right?
Yeah. Like, if you're a reporter and you're sticking out votes and you want to ask her, how are you voting? What's an important issue to you? I mean, it's like she sprints. There's a staffer behind her. She automatically gets a phone call. Like, oh, man, how convenient. You get a phone call whenever a reporter walks up to you. And, like, I understand that Hill reporters are a little socially awkward and don't always have the best personal hygiene. But we're not terrible. And just seeing the fact that she just totally stiff-arms reporters and only wants to talk to them in, like, a TV setting, I find really troubling. And if I had anything to say about Hillary's Veep pick, I hope she picks somebody who doesn't treat journalists, you know, like they have, like, airborne Veep.
Hillary has not had a press conference
since
no kidding.
but I don't, you know what? I can't blame her, because if she does, it would just be bullshit, stupid questions.
Yeah, but all these guys
from the
talk to
bullshit
reporters.
media.
But all these guys talk to reporters. Booker talks to them. Tim Kaine talks to them. Ted Cruz will talk to you for like half an hour.
Of course.
Which is
But every question is not going to be about emails and Benghazi and, you know, I don't...
I mean, suck it up, you know? It's not that bad.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks for all the single lady stuff. I appreciate that.
We on? Yes, we are. Okay. This is for you, Ravi. Why did you get into the snack food business?
Well, basically, my friends Ryan and Todd, we have a company called This Bar Saves Lives. For every bar we sell, we donate a life-saving meal packet to a child in need somewhere around the world. And Ryan and Todd took a trip to Africa, and they were introduced to this meal packet called Plumpy Nut, which is prescribed to kids who are days away from dying from severe acute malnutrition, which affects 20 million kids under the age of 6 every year. So we wanted to figure out a way to give and keep on giving. So
that's great.
Why not find something that, you know, allows people to snack healthy?
Will Hillary cede to any of Bernie's demands? Should she?
No. Yes. They hate each other. They absolutely hate each other.
They don't hate each other.
I think she already has.
She has, and she knows she has to. She knows she has.
She's already done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's going to keep doing it. He's obviously not going anywhere. He's going to keep doing. They're not.
The pressure's on.
And they're not that much at odds. Anyway, I mean,
they're not.
They're not. They have so much. They have so much more in common.
When they were in the Senate,
right?
When they were in the Senate, they voted together like 93% of the time.
The differences are by degrees, and she's gonna. She knows she has. She can't be the bad guy. She can't afford to be the bad guy here.
People are so tribal.
He's the wild card. He doesn't. He believes that he's got this revolution going. He's not. I mean, look at. He's just made this very long videotape yesterday saying he's still running. I mean, anyone else?
He's also pre-conceding. That was perfectly polite. I mean,
everybody else would be out by this point. I mean, but he is just. I'm standing. He has nothing.
I think the wild card is the Republican voter who is trying to decide if they will, at all costs, vote for anyone that runs for their party. Like, I think they're looking at Trump and for the first time saying, "This guy's fucking nuts. I can't support him. I just can't." And people are saying that, and what you're hearing right now is you're hearing a lot of politicians say the worst things about him, and then say,
"That's
yeah, but I'm going to vote
here
for
in
him."
Hollywood.
It is.
It's really not. I mean, it's really not. I travel this country. I land in the flyover state.
Do you like stay at the Holiday Inn?
No. Why? Would that help me understand Donald Trump?
Like interact with normal people.
Oh, please, the Holiday Inn.
I think
As if.
I can tell you this.
I've
Trump is
interviewed-
a Republican candidate. You're going to have some Republicans voting for Hillary.
Yeah.
Well,
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and you're going to have a lot of them just not vote at all.
I think you guys are way ahead on this, too far ahead. I've interviewed Trump many times, recently as last week. I've sat down with him. There's this part of Trump that the public has not seen yet because he's at these big rallies.
Oh, wow. There's more.
I don't want to.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Yes.
I mean,
I don't want to.
Speaking is the only person at this table who's spent an extensive
okay, but
period
that's
of
a
time with him.
long revelation.
Wait.
Because he's been in public life for like 35 years.
I'm just saying.
So if there's something we haven't seen,
In my personal-
that is deep, deep, deep down.
In both my experience of interviewing him many times, sitting with him, he is thoughtful, he is intelligent, he is focused, he is calm, and you're going to.
Then why doesn't he?
It's been a year.
Why doesn't he exhibit any of that in public?
He doesn't sit down interviews.
You
I
also
think
wrote
you'll
a book
see
called
that.
Emily Gets a Gun. I mean, I just don't think your point of view on Trump is that valid.
But what? Well, not be nasty.
That was easy. That was. I didn't
And it
want
was
to do
also
that.
just
I
rude.
wanted to make friends.
It was just
I
rude,
blew it.
unnecessary.
It's hard enough to come here when the
I
whole
know.
crowd is against you.
Yeah, no, it's hard. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
You're forgiven.
Do you want-
Why is Donald Trump such an enormous douchebag? No, I'm sorry. That's not what do you make of recent reports that Donald Trump wants to establish a new media company? He has cut off a lot of media
I think that's I've heard from sources inside it's a very likely thing.
But you can't think that's a great idea to, like, cut off
Well,
the
there's only
credentials.
one. There's Fox News, and then there's where I work, One American News. There's very few right-leaning, 24/7 news sources. Then you've got CNBC, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS. You've got all the left-wing
They're not
ones. There is room
left-leaning.
out there.
They're not left-leaning.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you.
Where are they?
They're money-leaning.
Oh, everybody's money-leaning.
They're money-leaning.
Everybody's
They're not
money-leaning.
left-leaning.
They're left-leaning.
They would have to learn something to get left-leaning.
I
just go
have
where-
worked at ABC News and NBC News. I was always the only open conservative there. Everybody's openly liberal. So I'm talking from personal experience. They are left-leaning, but obviously.
But they root for the horse race.
Everybody wants to make money. I agree with you on that point. And Donald Trump may make a lot of money one day.
Theoretically going to be president? Like, isn't it a conflict of interest
Right.
for the president to run a media organization?
Let's not jump ahead.
That's very Berlusconi, right?
Yeah. In 8 years.
Okay, but even so, don't you think it's a mistake to cut off somebody like the Washington Post and many others? I mean, it's kind of third worldy. It's kind of banana republic.
Barack Obama did the same thing in 2008.
Cut off their credentials?
He kicked them off the plane. Even worse, the Washington Times,
That's
the New
not
York
worse.
Post, and the yes, it is because
No,
you
it's
can't
not.
have any access whatsoever.
Okay, he never did.
He kicked off once
This
they
is not
endorsed
this-
McCain. He kicked off the plane 3 newspapers who endorsed McCain on their editorial page: the Washington Times, the New York Post, and the Dallas Morning News in 2008. Nobody